the biggest, I think, one of the joys that I've had is actually when you come to the community cafe, of course, you come expecting, to serve and to give. But most times I've left feeling loved and that I've received more than I've actually given. And so and the group that we have, I'm gonna try and just post one of the pictures of one of our volunteers' pictures, but let me just get into that in a second. The biggest win we've had as a community cafe is our volunteers. They're the most consistent, most determined. They give way beyond just their time. They give them, resources as well, and they show up all throughout. And I think at the moment we have about 60 volunteers that we are in communication with. And here the question would be, perhaps, how have we been able to kind of engage our volunteers, and why are they still with us? And maybe I know most of you or many of you would be running things, maybe organizations or things, and you might relate with some of the things that for us have worked. The first thing that we realized is one of the things we've done is for both Hillsong and HTB, we have explored creative ways of recruiting volunteers. So, for example, with HTB, we do testers, and we invite people to come and kind of have a small glimpse of what the community cafe is. Cocktail parties where we come and we kind of vision cast what the community cafe is. The second thing is we provided induction and training for our volunteers. So we did the last induction we did was I believe April, where we just called our volunteers and kind of cast the vision and told them what we're doing. And apart from that, all of our volunteers go through thorough training. That is safeguarding training for both Hillsong and for HTB as well. And I think that has been a win because they know exactly what they're doing, and they know that they're working with people who are vulnerable, and they're able to kind of handle that. The third thing is like we're making our volunteers feel welcome. So we introduce them to the team, of course, and we make sure that they are equipped enough to kind of work with our guests, and not just with our staff team, but also with the guests as well. The fourth thing is we establish excellent communication. I think we have really good communication with our volunteers. So we do both email follow-ups, but we have a WhatsApp group that has become a bit even more social in a sense. So they don't see it as just this is work that we're going to do, but they see it as something that they're really passionate about, and they're part of a community rather than part of a job that they are doing. So they see the bigger picture of what are some of the results that are happening in the community cafe. The other way we engage them is we ensure that they have access to the resources that they need. So we take a lot of advice from our volunteers, and we take feedback from them, and we make sure that they are resourced. Of course, it's not cheap and it's not easy to do it, but so far it's been one of the ways that we keep our volunteers engaged. The other thing we do is we introduce a variety of things. We just try to keep things as interesting as possible. So this year, for example, we didn't have people cutting hair, so we introduce people, barbers who come in, and that gives an opportunity for some of our volunteers to actually volunteer in that area. There's the art side of things. I think in a couple of weeks, we're thinking of bringing someone who is a personal trainer to come and do, assessments and physical assessments and things like that. So that's one of the things, like creating variety and things that for them to kind of be involved in doing. When we've made like cultural foods. For one of our volunteers actually made jack chicken, which is Jamaican, I believe, or West African in a sense. So things like that, just making things a bit more interesting. The other way we engage our volunteers, we provide for them kind of a sort of a clear information, so they know who is kind of supervising the night. If it's Ralph or if it's myself on the night, they know the person to come to and report any issues with safeguarding or questions that they receive from the guests. We also acknowledge their contributions. So just being able to appreciate our volunteers, we did a session last year in our end of year party, just appreciating our volunteers, sending them cards and just being able to kind of be in touch and acknowledging what they do. Actually, that it's not a small thing that they're doing. The other thing we do is we help them to develop new skills, and this is in part like for our church as HTB, we've thought, how do we? So, for example, we do trainings. If you interested in cooking, we do like training for you to be a level 2 certified, cook or chef, how to handle things, how to do safeguardings and things like that. We also encourage social connectedness. So we do picnics together. We make it as social as possible, to kind of just make sure that our volunteers are motivated. We listen to their concerns. When we go to trips with the guests, we invite them to come along. For example, this month we have an event. I think I believe it's 20th of June, which is the World Refugee Day. And we're going to be going to the museum, then go to the event, and we're inviting our volunteers to come along. And lastly, and perhaps this is what Greshma had asked earlier on, is we share success stories. We make sure that our volunteers know that what they're doing is part of an impact to a lot of people that they're impacting. And yeah, so that's how we engage our volunteers. Just to cap it up, we have our volunteer agreement, and we make it such that our volunteers know that the agreement that we're signing with them is not just to, for formality or for anything, but it's actually to help us to appreciate them better, and to kind of allow them to know their roles, first of all, to do their induction, to know the operations, their workbook, to kind of be trained with health and safety, to make sure that we protect our guests as well and protect our volunteers, because we're working with people who are vulnerable, as you can imagine being an asylum seeker would be. So yeah, that's on the volunteer side of things.